Okay, this is going to be part 1 of 3. I'm going to be trying three different ways to make this ambush ignite thing work. 1, cold based. 2, chaos based. 3, lightning based. Maybe a fourth one, we'll see. Why are we not doing fire based ignite? Because we can't use our position on the tree. Right, so let's talk about the strengths of this setup. We're playing Pathfinder, as always. Elemental equilibrium is right here. We can pick up a pretty decent wheel here, right? 15% chance to ignite is completely irrelevant because we crit, so we ignite. But 6% and 12%, that's pretty good nodes. Cold based ignite, you really should be taking Snowforged. I don't have it right now. I'm actually specced a little bit into my flasks right now, over here and over here. Get the durations up, we'll be running unique flasks. So we want to make sure our flask charge is gained and our durations are such that we can afford to have 100% uptime on unique flasks, getting out of our ascendancy. As far as the nodes we have right now, we have Nature's Boon and Nature's Adrenaline. We're still in our maps. We haven't killed Cadaver for the second time. So, cold based ignite. There's 2 ways to go. You can go 3 Dragon Mask, or you can go Grimburn, however you pronounce that. Grimburn has some really good things going for it. 1, it's strength. We're shy on strength. The position on the tree isn't good for it. Some resist, some damage, 50% conversion. Pretty awesome. Reflect 10 gold to melee attackers, useless, but your cold damage can ignite. Pretty good. The good / bad part of this is that our cold damage ignites and freezes. This is the problem. If on the other hand we go with 3 Dragon Mask, our cold damage can ignite but not freeze or chill, right? So we don't have to worry about freezes. Now freezes should be good for you, but for us they're not. Let's take a look at why that is. So, as far as our build, we're using pretty much crap gear at this point. Still leveling, I'm fairly poor. That tab you just saw is pretty much everything I've spent chaos on. So we have a nice big old juicy pack here. We pop our flasks, we go hop in. We got a actual, this is a good hit because these guys are a little bit tankier. But one of the things is that there's a bunch of corpses missing here, because we probably shattered them on our way in. These guys shattered. We hopped into them, so we never got the ignite prolifs, right? You see those circles here? We never got those because we shattered the guys we hit. Which means that these small packs, right? We only have 1 ignite that proliferated, every other ignite disappeared because we shattered. This is kind of a unique problem to crit-based ignites, is that, you know, you get in these scenarios where you just hit too hard. And when you hit too hard, you shatter things, and if they shatter, they're not moving the ignite around, and if they're not moving the ignite around, then we have to play fair, which nobody wants to do. Yeah, that is kind of where this particular build starts to run into some serious issues, and why we are not just going to say cold based ignite is the way to go, because there's things that are amazing for cold based ignite, right? We automatically trigger our elemental equilibrium, which is awesome. It's 25%. We have hatred, really good. So we have lots of scaling opportunities there. We could use the Taste of Hate, I think, for better scaling as well. Could get some pretty good numbers out of that. But we got the underlying problem, which is that on occasion you just shatter, and your shatter, you know, when you're especially we're using projectiles right now, right? When those projectiles just shatter everything they hit, we're not proliferating, and if we're not proliferating our ignites, our clear speed becomes crap. Yeah. But, you know, the projectiles do have the perk that these projectiles went out pretty far and took care of all those mobs. So we're using Frostblades. Frostblades is doing what I expected Frostblade to do. Pretty decent damage effectiveness multiplication, but more so than anything, it's the ability to just project, which it's doing. But it's not going to work well once the density goes too high. Density goes too high, then we are not going to have the ability to pierce through enough targets, so we don't really project the same way as we are right now. And that means that we are going to have some pretty miserable time. Yeah. We'll take a look at probably the Katava fight. I'm not going to finish the Katava fight. I don't want to do that yet. I first want to finish my lab. But just to show kind of like what we're looking at from a gameplay perspective when it comes to bossing. There's a lot to be said for it. You know, there's a lot to be said against it too. It's not super fast, right? You're gonna be playing the mechanics of the boss fight, which, you know, I'll take that. It's not necessarily something that people want. If you just do enough damage, you don't have to learn the game. Of course, to do enough damage, you have to know a lot about the game. But this is definitely not one of those builds at this point. You are very much engaging with the different mechanics, but you also have the ability to dodge a lot. Right, you only have to engage with the mob very infrequently, and that was, you know, pretty sad damage, which is fine. We're not at the point that we have more than like a 4-link going or anything like that. We're not using our curses, and we're not using our war cries or any of the other stuff right now. Just being a little bit lazy. Definitely have a tendency to just chain a bunch of stuff behind you, then shove an ignite in there to get your experience, and then you go back. Alright, just go away. Alright, let's talk about what does it look like when you fight something like a boss. Well, you can walk around a lot, which is pretty cool. So we have like our war cry, we have our curse, and now we are going to shove an ignite in there. Now, because we war cried, we actually have to be super careful that we don't hit them twice. Because if you hit more than once, you have to deal with the fact that you just hit them with fire damage, which breaks your elemental equilibrium, which is a little bit frustrating. So yeah, you can spend a lot of time just looking around and doing all your stuff, playing the mechanics. On occasion you hop on in on an enemy, and when you hop on in on an enemy, you set them on fire, and then they burn for a while, and you do okay damage. Ads in boss fights, super annoying, right? Because quite often your blades just don't go in the right spot, and that is miserable. So yeah. Oh, this is not looking fantastic right now. Yeah, good old Katava. Anyway, how much damage have we got? Yeah, that's a herald. That's the wrong way. Quarter of the way there. So not great. So where are we going to go next? The shadow issue is kind of what is a deal breaker for me. So we need to get rid of Shatter. The way we get rid of Shatter is we either go with the Three Dragons Mask. Three Dragons Mask is a really rough equipment slot though. Kinda like to chill. So rather than that, we're gonna go for Zephyr's Heart. Chaos damage can ignite, chill, and shock. So we are going to go Fizz to Chaos conversion. We are not going to pass through elements first. We're going to have Sin's Rebirth for Unholy Might. We're going to use its Serious Promise for the extra 8%, but because of Flask effect, it's more like 12% damage. And 3% leech. It's all good stuff. And then we're going to use Holy Viper Strike for single target. And Lacerate for clear. Now we're not going to have any conversion other than from our Ascendancy. Right? So this 40% conversion with an anomalous added Chaos Gem. We can get the 60% conversion. 30% Fizz is extra. Okay, we're going to have probably enough clear damage. Getting to 100% conversion would be costing 4 skill points. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it. We'll see. Which is why we might have the bossing setup, because the bossing setup allows us to have a 100% conversion on the bossing setup, and then we have Lacerate with a partial conversion, and hopefully that's good enough. That is the near-term plan. Probably gonna go okay. Not too super concerned about it. That Serious Promise is of course going to do a lot of work for us. Sin's Rebirth is pretty solid. Right, 30% more evasion is going to be useful as well because we do have that Flask effect. Smoke clouds, we're blinding a lot anyway. Right? Whenever you ambush something, you blind it. Lacerate is going to be pretty good. We're probably going to use Sand Stance along with it, just for the increased arc, and because for clearing we really want the extra blind for things that are near us. So yeah, that's what's up next. Kind of why we're walking away from cold at this point. Right now we're 67. We do not have all the juicy nodes picked up. For instance, for the cold conversion, Snowforged is amazing. This node alone is 50% increased damage and -5 resists. That's a really good node. But, you know, Shatter. This would be 16%, 16%, followed by a 50% damage. That's a really good wheel. As far as crit, I think that once we pick up these 3 crit nodes, with 50% increased critical strike chance, plus Heartseeker for more multi, I think we're gonna no longer need the endless of the Diamond Flask. Right, we just have our 250% increased critical strike chance, which is all we need. As far as nodes, if we go to Chaos instead of Fire, most of our damage comes from Fire anyway. Right, so one with Nature, which is increased elemental damage with attack skills. The Fire does the damage. So the fact that our Chaos damage isn't scaled doesn't matter a whole lot. But we could pick up these 20% damage nodes. Like these 3 over here for 10% increased Fizz and then 10% increased Chaos. So it's 20% increase for each one of these with our conversion. There's a 24% node in there and then a 28% node. So this whole chain of nodes could be super juicy for us to pick up if we're looking for more damage. I don't think that's going to be quite the issue we'll be trying to solve, but we'll see. And then over here we have the opportunity to get 40% conversion if we pick up damage over time for Chaos, which is useless, damage over time with Chaos, which is useless, and damage over time for Chaos, which is useless, unless we convert a fire damage to be Chaos damage, which is an option. Because then this wheel becomes pretty good and this wheel goes away, this entire part of the tree would go away. Right? We wouldn't care about elemental equilibrium anymore. We wouldn't care about the fire multi in here. We would be giving up our chance for the 20% fire multi from the mastery, which is a pretty decent chunk. Elemental equilibrium again. I might be giving up a lot if we do that, right? The 25% resist mitigation and this wheel for the more. Now we have to deal with chaos resist and fixing chaos resist or dealing with high enemy chaos resist. There's very limited opportunities for dealing with it, but there's also limited opportunities for doing or making it worse. You do get access to withered, so maybe we'll go into the chaos conversion concept. We'll see. Initially, we'll be looking at ignites that cause fire damage, but if that is starting to look very, very rough very fast, we may start looking at ignites that cause chaos damage. Although it's taken as chaos. I need to look at that ring real quick. The thing is Black Flame. Black Flame. Let me look at the wording. Fire damage over time multiplier on the item itself. Okay, so the gearing would be exactly the same. We'd just be using chaos resistance instead of fire resistance. Okay, so Black Flame is useless because we have an easy time doing elemental equilibrium. Not gonna be doing that. So yeah, Zephyr's Heart is up next. We are almost there. 67 plus a bunch. So once we hit level 80, we still have to do our third lap. Then at level 70, we're going to go with Chaos. And we're going to play around with that for 10 levels. And then we'll see how things go. And after that, we will be looking at Stormfire if things are not going smooth. And looking at how things will work if we start from Lightning for ignites. Alright, that's it for this update. Look forward to part 2 and part 3. If nothing else, we're going to definitely try the chaos thing. And hopefully it will be good enough to get us to the point where we can get to level 80. And then look at the lightning thing. Maybe we won't even have to. Maybe it's going to be good enough. We'll see.